Kylian Mbappe is one of the best footballers in the world. But due to a career-ending injury, he was forced to retire at 25 and decided to go into management. Mbappe got offered jobs from four clubs: FC Nantes, Luton Town, FC Metz and Cagliari. Mbappe decided he wanted to stay in France. So that left Metz and Nantes. Mbappe decided on Nantes as they had more money. And so he put the pen to paper and signed the contract. And there he was, the new manager of FC Nantes. The future looks exciting for Nantes fans. The board had to clear objectives for Mbappe to finish top half in Ligue 1 and reach the round of 16 in the French Cup. Mbappe decided he wanted to play 5 at the back, as that is what he had been familiar with at PSG. And with a budget of 15 million, Mbappe decided to head into the loan market to make his first signing, and brought in Arda Güler from Real Madrid. Mbappe had played against him before and spotted potential. Mbappe looked at his current team and realized he was in desperate need of a striker, and used his experience in Ligue 1 to help him do so. He ended up signing Wesley said from Lens for only 3.7 million, and he would end up helping Mbappe massively this season. In Mbappe's first ever game in management, he drew after conceding a late equalizer to Toulouse. Deadline day quickly approached Mbappe, and the board made a request to Mbappe that he signs a big player to boost the club's reputation. With a limited budget, Mbappe brought in the best player he could think of, someone who he had played with in the past: Anthony Martial. The fans were delighted with that signing. Halfway through the season, Mbappe's Nantes team were 11th in the league, a bit underexpected. Mbappe had had a few international offers, but he said that he doesn't want to manage an international team. After looking at his team, Mbappe realized that he was in desperate need of a center-back. So he went back to his playing days and signed a former French teammate. Jean-Claire Todibo is one of the world's most wanted center-backs. And Mbappe made some contacts and got the deal over the line for 27 million. At the end of the season, Mbappe's side was in 10th place, which is pretty average, but good for his first season in charge. Mbappe had completed his 2 objectives that he had been given, so the Nantes board were very happy with him. Mbappe realized that more squad depth was needed, so he decided to raid the free transfer market and bring in 9 players: Ognijan Jelovic, the Luka Modric region; Bradley Dack, a backup cam; Layvin Kurzawa, a good rotational option at left back; Antonio Zarzana, a promising young Spanish winger; Loris Karius will be a decent second-choice keeper; Youssef Attal will be an important right back for US this season; Ivan Cavallero will be a good backup in the attacking position; Eric Curbelo is a solid, quick center-back. Shea Adams is the final signing. He will provide reliable cover at striker. The Nantes board gave Kylian 2 objectives this season: to qualify for the Europe League and get to the round of 16 in the French Cup. With 14 million still left in the budget, Mbappe had to decide how he would split up his budget. Mbappe decided he wanted to strengthen 3 positions: center mid, goalkeeper, and center-back. Samuel Umtiti was the first signing, and only 2.1 million of his budget was spent on him. He will definitely strengthen the defense. Etienne Capoue was the next signing, probably an overpayment for a 35-year-old LD. But he brings some well-needed experience into the midfield. The goalkeeper Mbappe bought in was Benjamin Lecomte, and again for a very small fee, he is definitely an improvement on what we have now. Squad. Mbappe was left with about 40 million left in the budget, and he wanted to spend that on one star player. He bought in one of his former PSG teammates, Lee Kang-in. Mbappe highly rates him, and he has a lot of potential. Halfway through the season, Mbappe found his side 10th in the league, which is slightly disappointing as he was expected to be in a Europa League spot. To make matters worse, Nantes were already out of the French Cup, so Mbappe really needed to improve his position in the league. When it came to March, Mbappe's side had slipped further down the league. There was also a lot of unrest coming from the dressing room, so things needed to change urgently. He then got an email from the board saying his position was being closely watched, and after 2 more losses, his contract was terminated. However, there was one club that seemed interested in him. Angersko found themselves last in the league, after winning only 2 games all season, and they were almost certainly relegated. So League 2 football would be on the cards. Mbappe chose to get straight back into management and accept the job. Kylian Mbappe was already at the club, and he is a very good standard for League 2. This is how the league is looking. At the end of the season, Mbappe's side were still in last place, as to be expected, but apparently the board thought that is a good enough reason to sack him. That will surely go down as one of the most unreasonable sackings in football history. Bordeaux saw that too, and pretty much immediately offered him a job. They also got relegated from League 1. The board had one clear objective for Mbappe this season: get promoted. Here is how the team looks. It is a very good standard for League 2. Mbappe wasted nitrogen monoxide time bringing players in the club, as Corentin Tolisso was his first signing, a very solid center mid. He comes in as our highest rated player already. He then spread out the rest of his budget across a few signings, starting off with Ibrahima Baldi, a good super sub. Next up was Augustin Hubert, who came in on a free. He is a good young center mid with a lot of potential. Next up was Thomas Delay, someone who would provide reliable cover in the wide positions. The final signing was Yoann Samir, who slots straight into the center-back slot. In Mbappe's first came-in chance, it ended in a 3-3 draw, which will probably go down as one of the games of the season. Halfway through the season, Mbappe's side were 8th in the league, pushing for playoff spaces. However, Mbappe was questioning whether managing in France was right for him. So he looked in the job center and found 2 jobs that took his fancy: Galatasaray and Bodo Glimt. He applied for them both, and they both came back to him within a few days. Mbappe just had to decide which job he would choose, and he ended up going with Galatasaray due to the fact they have more money. Here is how the team is looking. There is a lot more talent than he has previously managed. The board had 2 objectives for Mbappe: to win the league and reach the quarters of the Champions League. And considering they were only 1 point of the top of the league, it shouldn't be that difficult. In his first game in charge, he managed to get a 4-0 win. The future looks bright for Galatasaray fans. Mbappe wasted nitrogen monoxide time in spending the money the board had given him, and Bao in Bryce Samba for 15 million. As a goalkeeper was desperately needed. He then Bao in Lucas Hernandez in 43 million for an 88 rated was a no-brainer. In Mbappe's first ever Champions League game, he got drawn against his former club, PSG, in the round of 16. The first leg was a 3-2 loss, and the second 3-1, so a 6-3 loss on aggregate. At the end of the season, Kerem Aktürkoğlu had won the Golden Boot with 26 goals and 16 assists in 38 games. What a player! Mbappe's side also ended up winning the league, which is his first trophy, so a big achievement. He also ended up winning the Turkish Cup, so he ended up doing the double. It was definitely the right decision to leave France. The Galatasaray board had given Mbappe 43 million to spend this season. He started off by bringing in Edgar Rijrand, a young French striker, for 4.4 million, and then spent the rest of his money on Kingsley Coman, who he plans to turn into a cam. Galatasaray got drawn against Dinamo Zagreb in the Champions League qualifying round. However, they got knocked out 1-0 on aggregate. So Europa League football this season, which the board were not very happy about. In the Europa League group, we had Sporting, Young Boys, and Malmo, and we ended up winning that group comfortably. Here is how the league looks at the halfway mark. On deadline day, PS ended up triggering the release clause of Lucas Hernandez for 114 million, meaning we needed a world-class center back quickly. Mbappe ended up choosing Todibo, as he has managed him already at Nantes, so knows the talent he has. After progressing through the Europa League group easily, we were drawn against West Ham in the round of 16, and a FTER 3 loss. And a 1-1 draw. It saw US leave the Europa League, which the board were not happy about, and after getting knocked out in the final of the Turkish Cup on pens, and finishing 2 points short of the league, the board were not impressed that nitrogen monoxide trophy was won this season. But knew Mbappe was the right man for the job. This season the board had given Mbappe 52 million. So let's see how he would spend that. He started off by bringing this young Portuguese center mid in, possibly the Ruben Neves region. Next was this insane Brazilian region striker, 16 years old and already 80 rated. And finally, Milan Skriniar was bought in, just to help strengthen the defense. The Europa League group consists of Bergamo Calcio, Hajduk Split, and 20. And what a season it was for Mbappe. He ended up winning the treble, the Super League, the Turkish Cup, and the Europa League, which included knocking out Manchester United and beating Chelsea in the final. After an impressive season, Mbappe decided to retire from management. After a rather short stint, let's see what he managed to achieve. After being in charge of 240 matches, he won 129, drew 60, and lost 51. Mbappe also won 2 Turkish Super Leagues, 2 Turkish Cups, and 1 Europa League. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and comment who I should do next.